Bickley and Marotta. Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
If we've learned anything from recent stories on Mat Ishbia, it's that he wants to beat Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert as much as you want to win an NBA championship. And I'm not sure we've ever seen two owners feud like this in professional sports. Even Jerry Buss and Red Auerbach never rolled like these two arch enemies, a pair of mortgage titans who share the same business and the same home state. I also know that no basketball fan in the Valley cares about Ishbia's salty language or his rabid professional ambitions. They want a basketball team that will be more than just dollar signs, a team that is connected, joyful, spirited, and ready to run through a wall in pursuit of victory. Unfortunately, this year's team is falling way short of that. It's painfully obvious the additions of Ish Wainwright and Isaiah Thomas were desperate attempts designed to pull this team together in spiritual terms from the inside out. And while this team has plenty of firepower offensively, all the other stuff is threatening to burn this expensive mansion to the ground. Good news is Devin Booker is coming off a great performance. And no matter what you think of their cohesion or their coachability or their incredible ability to drive every one of us insane, they have the individual talent to forge a happy ending. Otherwise, Ishbia is going to learn a very painful lesson about building rotisserie teams versus real connected teams and how the latter has very little to do with money.
Yeah, well, first off, no fan, and I was a fan my whole life and still am a fan. No fan cares about the owner's luxury tax bill. No one cares about the money I spend. They care about winning. So that's all I care about, too. And so whatever it takes to win, we say it takes what it takes here in Phoenix for the basketball teams, the Mercury and the Sun, and that's what we're going to do. It takes what it takes to try to win a championship. We're going to figure it out together.
That was Mat Ishbia on this very radio program back on February 16th talking about, and he's right. Most fans don't care about luxury tax bills. Unless it cripples the construction of a team moving forward. So yesterday, this long article about the mortgage rivalry between Mat Ishbia and Dan Gilbert comes out. And look, it wasn't, for people who follow the Suns and know anything about Mat Ishbia, it wasn't really anything all that telling yet.
Not at all.
This was a timing piece. This came out
before they played the Cavs.
On ESPN, by the way.
Exactly.
But it does go. What was the phrase you used? Maniacal. In the blast, did you just say the word maniacal? Or am I inventing?
Or are you going maniacal right now?
No, I did not use maniacal. But it's close. I mean, it's just it's
his competitiveness.
Mat Ishbia has a maniacal desire to win, regardless of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I wondered about in reading that story is that when he finished up at Michigan State, Mat Ishbia had an opportunity to become a college coach, to join a college staff at Cleveland State. And I wonder, you don't do what he's done in the business world without being maniacal, without being driven past what most people can comprehend. That doesn't just apply to business. It applies to every walk of life for people that are wired that way. Where would Mat Ishbia be now had he chose the coach? Would he be a successsul NBA coach, or
had he taken that job at Cleveland
coach?
State?
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Yeah. We'll never know the answer.
And what I also didn't know from that story was Mat Ishbia's father started that mortgage business as a side project. That he was a very successful attorney and just did that on the side, which would explain why it was a very moderately sized company.
Man, don't driven people just anger you?
What do they have that we don't have, Vinny?
Don't you have enough people? Yeah. Mat Ishbia was employee number 12, was it?
Yeah.
And so I think, the fact that Dan Gilbert is worth 20-something billion and Mat Ishbia is worth 6-point-something billion, I would think that Mat Ishbia is consumed with passing Dan Gilbert in every way possible. That's what that article made very, very clear.
And the one thing Dan Gilbert does have is a NBA championship.
That is correct.
No, but with an asterisk. Because Dan Gilbert, when LeBron left the first time, guaranteed his fan base, we are going to win one before LeBron wins
we
one.
remember the letter that he wrote there. Yeah.
Which was really, really stupid. He didn't win one until LeBron came back, which not only which you could look at as much as an accomplishment for Dan Gilbert as sort of a slap in the face.
Yeah.
As you never won anything without LeBron, and you're not going to win anything without LeBron. So, but you're right. He still is one zip in that particular department.
Remember that when that letter came out, though, we're like, this is the most damaging letter an owner has ever sent, ever. The only thing it really ruined was the font Comic Sans for everybody.
That's funny.
Because you thought it burned the bridge that LeBron would never consider going back there, and he did.
Yeah, and he did. He did. And so I think this is all very interesting stuff. I think that, in the case of tonight's game, I think this game is probably more important to the two respective owners than the two respective fan bases, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
And the other thing in your blast that struck me is during your almost 2 weeks gone, big addition Isaiah Thomas has barely played even a minute for the Suns.
Right. Right.
That turned out not to be much of anything.
And that's been a very, very odd situation as well. And I think that, but I do think the intent of bringing these guys in weren't necessarily basketball related. It was done to change the internal mix. You got to add some ingredients. Like when you make soup at home, Jarrett, and you taste it and you go, this is really bland.
Make sure you stir it.
Make sure you stir it.
Before you
go,
serve.
this is really missing something, but I'm out of ingredients. And all I got is some cayenne pepper and some juniper.
And some Thad Young.
And some Thaddeus Young. But, right, so I think these were not basketball additions, clearly, because they're not playing. So I think that I don't listen. If we know, we still don't know what went down in 2021. We know there was a serious internal implosion with that basketball team. We've all heard things. Vinny and I have dutifully reported what we think we know about that team, but there's still a cloak of mystery around that team. I think the worst fear is that 2024, this team is going to wear that same kind of label, like, what the heck happened to that team? How does a team with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and the best three-point shooter in the NBA flame out like this?
Yeah, I mean, the end results there's still numerous end results. Is this a team that flips the switch, clicks it into high gear, focuses when the games mean the most? I mean, I still say doubtful. Mm-hmm. Is this a team that for years people will look back on as another in a growing list of cautionary tales on what, putting together a team with top flight talent? That seems more probable right now. Mm-hmm. But the Suns, you said something, too, that struck me, is that this game means more to the two respective owners and the fan bases than it does to anybody on the court. I hope that's not the case. And I'm pointing at the Phoenix Suns, who have been accused of maybe looking past opponents. And not that you should look past Cleveland. It's a very good basketball team. Mm-hmm. But just the gravity of this game, in the situation that they're in, with what they still publicly want to accomplish this year, they got to win games like this.
Well, listen, and it all goes back to Dan Gilbert being an absentee when it came to the voting to approve Mat Ishbia. How petty is that? Right. It's 29-0, and you're not voting because why?
It's better than a no vote.
I guess you're right.
It does seem, though, that Mat Ishbia hates Dan Gilbert way more than Dan Gilbert hates Mat Ishbia.
That's certainly the way that story was presented. There's no doubt about that.
It's a little bit of a one-sided rivalry, is my read on it.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.